What's up, you guys? This is the Authentic Empress. So, you know how lately we kind of come to the conclusion of the whole dynamic of spiritual, emotional, psychological, physical warfare when it comes to personal relationships or when it comes to people in general. Okay, how we understand like the bigger picture and ultimately what it is that they're being used to come after us, being used to attack us, ultimately distract us. Um, Understanding the tactics right now, these tactics and these strategies are no longer unpredictable. It's not really something that they can spring up on us and catch us off guard, okay, because we're very sharp in our discernment, right? We're grounded in our discernment, our intuition. So it's not something that can be used, whether that's by higher ups, whether that's by like some type of mass hip um hip hypnosis or whatever. Um, Being hypnotized by one another when it comes to discordance, right? Opposed to the bigger picture of what you're supposed to do with your gifts, like your purpose, being bigger than just sorting through relationships or sorting through um, people being jealous of you or envious of you. Like it's bigger than that, right? It's like, okay, cool. We understand the root of the envy. We understand the root of all the evils, right? So we've passed that, right? Right? We've completed that. It's like you're moving on to a higher degree, right? What I heard earlier today is that um, God's chosen ones and anointed ones are considered God's highest achievers. Like if we look at all of this, like school, when it comes to your soul evolution, right? Your soul growth and your expansion, your ascension, you are, or we are God's highest achievers. And what do God's highest achievers are? When somebody achieve the highest level or the highest degree, when they earn their doctorates and all this, what do they ultimately do? They go and do something that they are an expert in, something that they have expertise in, something that they are now considered professionals. They can pass down knowledge, okay? They can help cultivate skills within others based on whatever that is, right? And not just that, but you you now apply all the knowledge that you gain. You now apply all the skills that you cultivated, right? And you apply it to things that help with a bigger picture. So this is the energy right now. It's like this could, um, like for example, with your intuition and your discernment, and this is not to say that people aren't already doing this, but for those of us who we kept getting pulled into these dynamics with people that we care about, people that we love, people that we've exchanged some type of energy or loyalty to, and then there's some type of envy or betrayal, and it stagnates us emotionally, or it stunts our growth, right? Or it takes up a lot of our attention. It's taking a lot of our energy that could be going towards something that's far greater. Like for example, when you think about children and the youth and stuff like that, and um, like social media disorders and the bullying and all this shit that we see, some of us are supposed to be focused on bigger things, targeting that, especially when it comes to the future generations. It's like we're meant to be those people, those pillars in place to help the youth, to help the children with our knowledge, from us experiencing harassment, of all forms, right? Psychologically. So those conversations that we should have been having with our guardians, with the people around us when we were kids, when we were experiencing warfare at a young age, especially those of us who are called, if you really resonate and relate with that, you know that, your attacks start early, when you're a kid, just because you're a kid, it don't mean anything, right? And think about those children who are prophetic, right? Those children who have dreams and stuff like that. Because always, we understand that our souls typically are much older than the body that we're given or the body that we come through in this lifetime, right? So, hence the severity of whatever warfare you experience to either stunt you psychologically deter you, change your path or change your course, right? So that you don't stay on course with your divine purpose, right? The high, the bigger picture, right? So you guys you're there, right? Now understanding that you're one of God's highest achievers. It's like your focus is being redirected yet again. However, it's different this time. Your focus is yet again being redirected on the bigger picture. Like this is talking about you taking on like a new career path, or you expanding your career path, or you adding things that can integrate into whatever you're already doing. But the point is, it's like those core issues, like when it comes to the root, it's almost like gardening and stuff like that. When you learn the different plants, when you learn about the soil, you learn about the conditions that are required for that plant's growth in a healthy farm. It's like this is how we're meant to use our gifts. When we encounter other people, when we see issues that are more on a global scale or like a bigger scale. For example, how with so many children, there's so many of the youth who there's different issues, right? One of the issues could be challenges when it comes to literacy, like when it comes to them how they articulate themselves, reading and writing, right? Um, and especially when it comes to being able to discern their way through peer pressure, okay? So that they don't get thrown off course of who they really are at the core, their true authenticity and identity. So we're meant to, finally step out of, okay, we understand when it comes to people that we've dated, people that we've been friends with, our relatives and stuff like that. We get it now, right? We get it. Okay. Now let's really get to, some more important shit, that God really need us for. And in a way, us having to sort through constant, betrayals or like just weird ass energy dealing with different people for different walks of life. In a way, it was like fine tuning your skills and your gifts, right, for something much bigger. Um, some of you guys could be, called into like cybersecurity. Some of you guys could be called into like counseling and uh, different forms of therapy. Fields like the medical field, biology, chemistry. And I touched on this before, but mind you, yes, are there already people in these career paths? Duh. Are all these people ordained and anointed? No, they are not. So it's like we're supposed to add on to those who are anointed, right? We're supposed to add on to those to help create that balance, right? To help regenerate the health of our world, like the health of our environment, right? And it's crazy because I hope y'all realize that this heat, like the heat waves and stuff that's going on right now, it's not normal, okay? And it is like judgment based heat. You feel me? Like this is judgment. And this is why, some people are losing their lives to this, right? These are natural disasters, but again, it's all in alignment with karma and judgment. This is why it's happening, right? Okay, with that being said, it's like somebody said to me that every time they launch a rocket or they're trying to do anything involving like NASA or space and spacecraft, and it's crazy. And it's probably true because the other week a card came out that says spacecraft, and then the following week after that card is this, these extreme heat temperatures, right? But somebody said that every time, in their 70 years of life, they said every time they launch a rocket or they do anything involving space, it seems like we experience like some type of severe change in our weather, and a lot of times it can have something to do with the extreme heat, right? With that being said, now these type of careers are more complex, are more complicated. Have you guys noticed how it's like so many people who want to be screamers? There's so many people who want to do music and create music. There's so many people who want to be in the entertainment industry, but it's like we don't get that much hype, or there's not that much influx of it being blasted in our face of people wanting to take on the more complex career paths, like the things that really shape our earth, our experience, right? So again, Anointed ones are not just supposed to be, oh, we're prophets, and we help guide people. Like, we're supposed to actively, like, hands on as well, like, be effective, okay, in creating balance in our world, okay. So again, it's like some of you, where you are on your path, again, as a high achiever spiritually, it's like you're not going to be, in these old timelines and karmic, like, dynamics anymore, or like constantly, trying to heal or recover or helping somebody else. And this is not to say that you're not going to help other people heal and recover, but it's like when it comes to you directly and why you're targeted so much, why they're constantly trying to keep you distracted with having to climb your way out of um, some type of inconvenience that they're creating around you, right? All to just box you in, all to distract you from something bigger, something much greater, okay? Something that's even related to your unmovable stability, your abundance, your prosperity, right? So again, some of you guys will be called into careers involving security, like helping to protect people while using your gifts. It's like merging your gifts in the skill set of, the technology, whatever it is, right? It's like you guys are going to be guided into these things. Like, there's things that are already, seeds that already been planted in you, okay? Like, and this can be like past life things that you've done, and like whether that's like working with mothers, specifically working with children, midwifery, herbalism, but is the point is you're going to be able to be more focused on things that are just far more serious. It's like, and there are some people who may feel like you treat them like they're not important. They may try to, like, really make it sinister, just to cope, or just to justify whatever unnatural feelings that they have towards your growth and your evolution, your maturity, because ultimately that's what it is. It's like, it's a maturity that, it's like they're wanting you to revert back to some level of ignorance, where they feel like they can still hang with you, they can still tug on your energy, they can still feed off you, when that energy about you should be going towards things that are far more serious, far more greater. And a lot of times, these people who have a problem with you doing that, these are people who are adding to the problems, right? These are people who are encouraging and empowering the things that actually destroy us, the things that actually tear us down, the things that actually take us back, right? Especially our children, especially the teenagers. Like, these are the people who's gonna find it most problematic with you no longer having any energy to give to them, because again, they're a part of the problem, but you're meant to be a part of the solution on a bigger scale. Okay, so that's pretty much the message that I have for real. Again, you guys are considered not just anointed but high achievers, because when we're all being tested, it's like you guys are passing the test with flying colors. It's like you're passing the test in a way that your enemy can also see that, hey, this is how you pass the test. So it's like whenever there's conflict between a divine energy and somebody who's on demon time, both energies are being tested, and only one can really pass for real, right? Unless the other one converts to divinity, or someone converts to the demonic energy, right? Which would be a double failure, right? Which would be that killing two birds with one stone type of energy. But instead, by you responding to whatever conflict that you're met with, right? With resolution, based in wisdom. And it's going to be different ways. You have to discern what is the best way to respond to any situation of conflict, depending on the situation, right? And again, this is that energy of passing the test, not only passing the test, but simultaneously teaching your enemy by passing the test, right? Showing them how they should respond to narcissistic behavior, showing them how to properly defend themselves without having to use their hands, without having to use witchcraft or abuse stuff like that. Like, how can you defend yourself without having to rely on demonic energy, right? So yeah, again, so whatever that was that you were supposed to, that you felt inspired or guided to do whatever it is that you want to create, it's like you're going to feel or have a lot more energy to put towards that. And this is why you had to go through this understanding, this enlightenment when it comes to pulling your energy back, taking your energy back, right? How to regenerate yourself by just taking back the energy that people are trying to abuse anyway. It's like you have every right and you have permission to take your energy from places where people are using it for harm. Because mind you, that's still your energy, right? And that's just the responsible thing to do. Don't allow anybody to sign or use your energy signature or try to filter your akasha towards things that are basically intended to destroy us. It's almost like the whole foundation of a preacher, a minister, a church, and stuff like that. You know, like how it's supposed to be for deliverance. How people are supposed to go there, you know, to connect more with God and for help, right? But we know that just because, you know, that's the foundation that God created with those intentions, we also understand that satanic energy finds a way to infiltrate anything that's intended for our good and basically demonize it, right? To what? To get the opposite results, to bring us down, to keep the discordance going, keep the conflict, keep the imbalance growing, right? Opposed to the opposite, right? So that's the energy. Some of you guys may be called into yeah, some of you guys may be called into like being pastors, being ministers. It really just depends. It really depends. The point is God is basically placing us in every career path, right? Every career path, so that not only do we operate out of that career with integrity and dignity, but we're also simultaneously using our gifts, our wisdom from experience. So it's like we better generate the results that are actually long lasting, right? That are actually effective, and they don't just brush over the issue. They're not just temporary relief, but it creates long lasting change, right? So yeah, and it's a beautiful thing. Like you guys are also God is also going to show you the people who are also chosen, who are also on their path. This can even be people who are older than you. But God is also going to illuminate to you the people that you can share things with that you keep to yourself. Like especially when it comes to just how sinister of attacks that you've been going up against. And the thing is, what's going to be so healing about you sharing this information with these people is that these people witnessed you while you were going through these things behind the scenes, and all they saw outwardly or all you presented to them was you still embodying your authenticity and this bubbly energy and whom they met when they first met you. It's like you maintained your identity even while you was dealing with some fuck shit behind the scenes that people took advantage of. They knew it would be one of those things that it's like, who can you really tell, right? Yeah, yeah, that's what's going on. Yeah, so you should be very proud of yourself. You should be very, very proud of yourself. Yeah, because you do have, and just be reminded how rare it is to connect with people like yourself. So it's like we can't be dismayed by. So one of the main things that they manipulate us by when it comes to our worth and our value is like social media. How many likes you get, how many viewers support you, how many comments, how many people hype you up, or the lack thereof. You know that we have to understand how for minds that are far younger, for minds that are far more vulnerable, that their upbringing or whoever their guardians are, you know, they're not really raising them on a solid foundation. They're not really raising them from a place of integrity and self-respect and self-love, right? And a lot of times, these people, you know, there's a lot of people who give birth to children, and they don't heal themselves, and so they kind of just pass. It's almost like treating your child as your personal voodoo doll, but you're using your low vibrational frequencies that you have not properly addressed and transmuted, and you're infusing that into your child, whether that be subconsciously, unconsciously, okay, intentionally, unintentionally, and in many cases, it is unintentionally that parents infuse their low vibrational frequencies into their children, right? So God needs you guys in position because you're not just going to scrape the surface. Like, you guys are really going to get to like the bottom of things, or like really have not only the courage and the boldness, the audacity, right, but you also have this strength about you. You have this strong mind now. You have this strong will now. You're very strong in your identity. You know, nobody can confuse you about who you are. Nobody can trick you out of being who you are authentically, right? And so, in a lot of cases, people who try to take on these type of career paths, they don't have that solid foundation, especially if they don't have like a genuine connection with the divine. And I'm telling you, you know, a lot of people take it lightly. It's like a lot of people, like, their connection or how they perceive their relationship with God is very bland because there's so many people claiming to love God, or they mention God, or I just want to thank God, or I want to be able to do this without God. You feel me? Because it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to say. It looks right, right? It sounds right, right? But it's coming from a performative place. It's insincere. It's like I was talking about yesterday. Like, if it's insincere, when it's time to apply it, it's not really going to render you the real results or the true results that you need, right? It's not really going to sustain you. It's not really going to suffice if it's ingenuine. It doesn't matter how many people you convince that, oh, it may seem real. When it's time to apply it, you know, when you're experiencing hardships, trials, and tribulations, that's when it really matters, right? Like, that's when it's really going to show, like, whether your faith in divine is real or not. And we need people in position in these different careers who faith in divine is real. Like, for example, in the medical field, right? Let's say you're doing everything that you've been trained to do to save a person. But let's say um, what's missing from you being able to save that person or kind of help God or work a miracle through you is your genuine, sincere faith in the divine. What if that's the missing piece? What if that can really transform the whole situation, right? Your connection with the divine, your connection with your angels, your connection with your divine ancestors. And this is why you guys had to have this cleared up with you. Like, you get this proper understanding, a wholesome understanding of ancestors in general, because you know there's a huge sector of people that demonize the whole concept of ancestors, right? There's a lot of things that are just that people demonize because it does unlock. It's like the impact is greater, you know, once you're really grounded, you really tap into a higher wisdom. Your impact in whatever you do, whatever you put your hands to, whatever you set your intentions on, is far greater of an impact. So it's very important, like, to gain a confidence in knowing just how much you have access to when it comes to your spirituality on a from a divine place, right? How much help you have, how much support you have, understanding that support or the illusion of support, the lack thereof, will always be something that's weaponized, right? That's always something weaponized. Even again, so the illusion of certain people that you love, or people who seem like they're supposed to support you, not supporting you, right? That's an illusion within itself. Another illusion is that thinking, like, trying to convince you that you really don't have support when you actually do, in the spiritual and the physical. That too. It's like, it's one thing to try and it's like, it's really big to try and convince somebody who is like a true divine, like, person, like they've retained their divinity. It's a really big deal to make that person feel like they don't have support physically when they actually do. And so, but I feel like for us, it was like we did it the right way. It's like we had to learn and really ground ourselves in knowing that, no, hey, we got the greatest support in the spirit realm, and we have the greatest support within ourselves. You know, we have the greatest support ultimately above all within God. And so, yes, you know, we can discern when it comes to here, when we're here eye level, you know, dealing with people, we can discern, okay, this person doesn't truly support me, right? It's not really conducive for me to be associated with this person. It seems like my money slowed down. It seems like I fall ill. It seems like I experience these mishaps when I'm connected to this person. I don't need to be connected to that person or anybody else that's vibrating on the frequencies of that person, because I've seen what it does to me. I see how, it's what's the word? It's not stagnate. I see how it can cripple me, right? In my walk, right? In my impact and my effectiveness, right? Like, for example, um, any type of energy work, if you're doing energy work with anybody else, if your energy is not intact, it's not going to render healthy results. It's just not. Your energy, for anybody to do energy work, you have to do energy work on yourself. You have to constantly harmonize, attune, rebalance, detoxify, purify, nourish your energy in order to render healthy results when it comes to anybody else's energy, right? And we don't have to, just look at it like for people only, but anything, literally anything, right? The foundation, whatever you're building, if you're building a business, if you're working at a business, um, the things that you have, like what it's like, we have to understand how important it is to be conscious about the energy that we welcome into our lives and into our things, right? Because it is like a virus, it is like an infection. And I feel like we have more than enough, like it's on repeat, like the education of it all, right? It's become so repetitious that it should be ingrained right now. It should be ingrained. So it's like now, moving forward, when you get into taking on a larger responsibility, okay, and whatever you're doing, right? It's almost like the energy of people say like higher levels, stronger devils and stuff like that. Well, it really doesn't matter how strong or the lack thereof the devil is, because you understand all the tactics and the strategies that just keeps being recycled. It just keeps being recycled. Um, so yeah, um, I don't really feel like I need to pull any cards. At the start though, I did see Three of Swords, Seven of Pentacles, and Seven of Cups. Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you this too. Um, I feel like this would be a good example. Just because people are placed on a pedestal or they have like these very supported platforms, but they're every bit of evil. Just because they have that, and a lot of people hold them up and hype them up and keep supporting them, it's not really supporting them. It's actually adding to their downfall ultimately, because anybody who's operating out of demonic energy and their audience is supporting that, and they're not holding them accountable, but they're just kind of adding to enabling that behavior. In actuality, it's kind of like heaping coal on the enemy's head, but by the people that you think support you, right? So I guess another way to explain that would be because ultimately they're collecting blood on their hands by misguiding others, by misguiding so many people, by abusing their influence. So it's inevitable for us to see these people's fall. And even when they experience their warnings, when they're being tested, but it's really to get them to ascend, right? Even when they experience hardships, like we all will, based on how they respond to those hardships, you know what I'm saying, it's going to determine like, okay, are you? It's almost like I'll use now I don't know what all she got going on, but I'm gonna use Krishan as an example, right? So all that toxic shit, her, fighting and the bullshit, blue face, all this bullshit, right? Boom. Now everybody knows she can box, right? So now she's actually into fighting like professionally and stuff like that, and she's taking it serious, and she's with her platform. She puts God on a pedestal, like regardless of what people think of her and stuff like that. She's actively trying to transmute her situation, even though it's a lot. It's a lot of dark shit. It's a lot of toxic shit. She's still actively trying to transmute her situation, like despite all the people that's against her, all the people that's demonizing her. Like she's still trying to actively improve her situation no matter what. It's like people putting up brick walls, and somehow on some superhuman shit, you burst through that brick wall. That's the type of strength that we're supposed to be armed with whatever God guides us to do. And always understand that regardless of where you're placed, you're on a mission. You're on a mission. You're on assignment, right? And to complete that assignment as a high achiever, which is an anointed being, right? To successfully complete that mission that God has tasked you with is to respond the way that God intends for us to respond to the situation, dependent on the situation, right? Period. And things, it's like you're going to be placed around more powerful people. Um, you're going to be armed with a greater responsibility. Like this is what's coming in, right? And for some of you, it could be the people that you influence. For people who are on social media, social media is a part of that. It could be the people that watch you in the audience and stuff like that. But I'm very big on. I don't know. I just feel like as an able human, I feel like if you are somebody who's very gifted, especially like spiritually, or you're very intelligent, right? I just feel like it would be a waste if you don't expand that in real time outside of social media. It's like, yeah, if do it on social media, cool, but also do it in the real world, real time, in real life, right? I just feel like it would be wasteful not to, right? If you can, then do. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's how we're gonna be guided. Personally, for me, I can't settle with just, oh, I'm making a positive impact influence on social media, on a platform. Like, I can't settle with that when I'm an able body that can go out here in real time and like and experience people in real life. You know what I'm saying? And not still take action to render the same effect, right? Um, and so yeah, and something about me too. I've always been that person that wanted to do jobs and careers that I felt like was necessary, that I felt like was essential for us, like it actually mattered. Like for example, like Burger King. I don't feel like that's something that's conducive for our overall health and growth. That's not really something I would want to be a part of. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like if anything, it works against us. So I'm always, that kind of person. I want to be a part of things that actually are needed. It's actually helpful. Like when I work with children, when I work with the youth, when I work with autistic children, and the thing about me is that my style of doing things is always a little different from my coworkers or anybody else or who I'm working with, because I'm keeping it sacred, because I'm keeping spirit in mind. I'm keeping psyche in mind. I'm keeping emotions in mind. I'm keeping all those things in mind. I'm keeping physical in mind, right? I'm integrating all those things that it's like you can't just focus on one thing, hone in on one thing about a human experience and disregard every other aspect of that complex thing. That's not how we should be treating or going about handling one another, because we're just simply we're fearfully and wonderfully made, right? And regardless of people remaining dormant or their abilities, their gifts remaining dormant by what they're surrounded by or the lack of guidance, that misguidance. At the end of the day, we're supposed to have depth. And a lot of times when people are in that reprobated mind, when people are in that shallow energy and they're very grounded in that shallow energy, hey, you might want to check and make sure they're not spiritually compromised or their bodies are not already taken over. Right? We're made from the most deepest, beautiful, creative, endless, eternal being of all time, the Most High. Do you know every flower that's on this planet? No, you don't. Do you know? Have you seen every butterfly, every bug on this planet? Have you seen everything that's at the bottom of the ocean? You have not. Like, every time you look around and you see everybody in their uniqueness, this should remind you and empower you and encourage you of like, yo, like what you really have the opportunity to be tapped into and also create into this reality, right? We're supposed to not just be creators, we're supposed to be intentional creators. We're supposed to be intentional creators that's thinking beyond ourselves, but also thinking about how do our creations affect others, and do it affect them, in a way that uplifts them, empowers them, encourages them, inspires them. That's what it should be. That's how it should be, right? Because people create shit all the time, and I feel like that's why we're in these times where screaming and shit like that is such a big deal, especially when it comes to people who are creating useless content. People who are just and don't get me wrong, I want to be very clear. Like, for example, for people who create content that's based on comedy and stuff like that, comedy is necessary. You know how people say laughter is a medicine, right? Comedy is necessary. Now, hopefully the comedy that you're creating is not at the expense of an innocent being. That's when it becomes problematic, right? Now, if you just roasting the devil, a demon, and you're humbling them, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, go for it, right? But it should never be at the expense of something that's pure, right? Something, an attitude, a way of being, a behavior, a person, a way of life, or circumstances. Like, anything that's pure and innocent, we should not be polluting that. We should not be dirtying that. We should not be tainting that with the humor that we generate, right? Whenever we have deep talks, or we talk to one another, or even if we're talking about a person, it should never just be, oh, we're just talking about them just to beat them down. If we're discussing someone that's worth the conversation, and let's say it is because the person is on demon time, it's more so we're affirming, and we're affirming clarity about a behavior, about the energy that we're detecting, that we're picking on, and that we're picking up on. And also, if there's somebody, a part of that conversation, that was directly affected by this toxic person, right? If we're talking about the toxic person with the person who was directly affected by it, it was at their expense, but they're pure. We're also affirming that person, that, hey, you did the right thing. Hey, you did right by pulling your energy back. You did right by choosing to respond that way. You did right by holding on to your dignity and your integrity. Or, it probably would have been better to go about it this way, and da 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 da. Like, this is what sound counsel sounds like. But you're not supposed to just be gossiping, because you're motivated by your envy, or your jealousy, or your insecurity. These are people who are inevitably going to be reduced, moved out the way. And that's just that, because we all have free will, right? So at any time, they can choose to heal, to ascend, to make a better decision, to be accountable, hold themselves accountable, be honest with themselves, right? But every time they refuse to do that, it's like they descend further down and backward, right? So it's inevitable for the wheat to be separated from the tare, because it's like the separation, like, it's naturally happening. If people are ascending or separating from people that make them feel like they're unsafe, it's inevitable for the wheat to be separated from the tare. So if they're choosing not to comply with what's the best decision for everybody in the situation, what is the best decision for everybody involved, right? If they're not, trying to move like that and work together, whoever is in the situation who has this sound mind, that person is going to have to remove themselves. That person is going to have to depart, right? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Let's say somebody ups and they decide to inconvenience your life in a very great way, and you have a whole schedule planned for that week. You got your whole week mapped out. They don't care nothing about it because they have a vendetta towards you, and they intentionally want to throw you off kilter. They have every intention to create imbalance, right? They want to see you stumble. They want to see you get nervous and get anxious and crumble and shit. Well, guess what? You have identified that person is being used by evil, and you were instructed by the divine to depart from evil. That is how you pass that test. And with the passing of a test comes what? Reward. Okay? Now, when it comes to earth school, physical school, that reward may be, oh, you pass on to the next grade, or you get to exempt the final exam, or you make it on the dean's list. You know what I'm saying? Like you get some type of accolades, or you get into your dream school. Those are those earthly rewards. But when we pass our test in spirit, right, in psychological war, in emotional war, we also, just like when you work out your physical body, you exercise and shit, you get results, you get rewards, right? So don't even worry about what the fuck. It's like how the scripture that says how the fowl, which is birds, they don't have to worry about how they're going to be fed. God said that. It's a parable. We're not supposed to be too uptight about, damn, so somebody's intentionally trying to put you in a bind, right? Somebody who's evil. Numero uno. What's most important right now is to depart from the evil. Period. Trust God. Do not give way to fear, because that's literally what they try to induce or try to make you vulnerable or susceptible to. Fear, that anxiety. Why? Why should a being that is fearfully and wonderfully made be in fear of evil? Why? Evil is already fearful of you. So why would you respond to the obvious intimidation of your energy with fear, with worry, with anxiety? Why? Of course, they're trying to swap the energy. They're trying to project their energy onto you. So as soon as you detect that within yourself or your mind, or it's trying to latch on, it's trying to conjure up, you nip that shit by hold up. That's not my energy. That's not my energy. Right? Period. God said, I will never leave you or forsake you. I will never leave you or forsake you. You have to trust the prayers that you pray to the divine. If you experience like hardships, like again, when somebody tried to intentionally inconvenience your life, let's say you experienced a hardship where you experienced homelessness, right? You experienced some type of loss, right? Some type of grief. Let's say your prayer is, God, I don't never want to go through something like that again. I don't ever want to be in that position again. I'm grateful that I got through it. I overcame that. But please, don't let it be that again. I don't want to experience that again, right? You have to trust the prayers that you pray. Okay? And whatever door is open, and this is why being meek, this is where being meek and humble, like genuinely meek and humble, this is where it applies the most. Let's say where God places you is not exactly what the masses would consider to their standard be. Like, so let's say they try to gossip about where you are, gossip about how you look, gossip about what you wear, what you drive and shit like that. You just materialistic, simple, surface level shit, but you're a being that has depth. Right? You're deep, right? And you understand that it's deeper than that. You understand that most people who are heavily fixated on vanity and things that are external and outwardly, a lot of times they're distracting themselves from what's on the inside. A lot of times, these could be people who are the very ones adding on to the problems of our world, right? And so having that higher perspective and that wisdom, the higher perspective, is supposed to be enough and get you through whatever that situation is, and also remind you to be grateful, and also remind you that, hey, it doesn't stop here, right? This is a pit stop. I have a safe space. Boom. I'm grateful that I'm safe. Period. It's like, don't get so fixated on like what that safety looks like. Did God save you from the situation? Okay. Give honor and praise. Right? Pray, ask for what you want. Ask and you shall receive if you remain obedient. right? If you remain at that frequency of gratitude, right? Don't let these people trick you out of the frequencies of God because of their vanities, literally. And a lot of times, their vanities don't even suffice them and doesn't even suffice their own self esteem. It doesn't. And anytime, it don't matter where you go out and about in the world, you pick up on some evil eye, you pick up on some weird energy. It's not that you need to be ratchet about, like people choose to be ratchet about. And what they do, they forfeit their freedom, right? They forfeit their respect, they forfeit their dignity, they forfeit, they fail the test. They fail the test, right? Which earns them dissension, right? It's like, damn, if you just would have been a little more graceful in the situation, right? You could have got further ahead. Even if somebody is meeting you with not being tactful, or somebody's responding or meeting you with ignorance, right? That doesn't mean you have to respond with ignorance back. Like, they're clearly coming at, they're embodying a frequency of failure. This is how they feel about themselves. This is why they feel like they have to overcompensate with evil, opposed to overcompensating a dark or unwanted situation with good, with divinity. And this is not, I want to be clear, this is not that toxic positivity. This is not what I'm talking about. What I mean by good, good could be just making a wise decision. Good can be, okay, I see the potential. It's like, it's almost like, what's that movie called? Doctor, is it Doctor Sleep or something like that? It's like being able to see the different timelines. Like, if I choose to respond ignorantly to this situation, this is the possible timelines that can be created or generated. I don't want that. That takes me further away from God. That takes me further away from my path and my goals. However, if I respond to the situation with wisdom, even though I know this person is trying to trigger me, even though this person is dead as disrespectful and shit, this is basically, it's going to project you further towards your goals. It's that simple. It's that simple, right? So, you know how God talks about how vengeance is His, right? And you know how people pay for witchcraft, voodoo, and shit like that, like to get their vengeance in the situation, or to win, to conquer, to basically they lack faith in the divine. Like they don't respect God. They don't obey God. Okay? They're trying to get ahead of God. They want to play God in a situation. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much these people are throwing a tantrum and focus on your energy with their tantrums, right? So there's like a lot of chaotic frequency or energy that you're picking up on. All you have to do is be still in that moment. Evaluate the previous events or whatever events and how you responded, how you showed up. And if you showed up in a way with decency and respect, cool, then by all means, it's like you will be the one that's going to be more clear-headed in the situation. You're going to be the one that has that pure, that healthy conscience. It's like you're not going to be conflicted or stagnated or slowed down or bogged down by by you choosing to do like the wrong thing to do, right? It's almost like the scripture that says there's no rest for the wicked. Why is there no rest for the wicked? But if there's no rest for the wicked, that means that there should be plenty for rest for the divine, right? Don't nobody give a fuck about trying to prove nothing to none of these people, right? No, you don't have to meet up with nobody and fight nobody. Why? To prove what? No, like, no, you don't have to go through that man's phone and fuck up his car and vandalize his shit and stalk his friends and all this stuff. Why? Like, what? How in the world? Like, what? How can a divine timeline be produced from that? It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. You don't have to do any of that. And if you restrain yourself from taking these type of actions that many people take, and then it backfires, right? In most cases, You allow God to have vengeance over the situation. You allow your spiritual backing to avenge you in the situation, which is going to be far more effective and far more powerful anyway, right? As we've been proven time and time again, okay? You have no reason to not be confident in the divine. You have no reason to not be confident in the angels. Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael, Archangel Metatron, Archangel Uriel, Archangel Gabriel, Archangel Raphael. You have no reason to be doubtful or not confident in your divine love and ancestors, your divine spirit guides, the ascended masters, your spirit, right? Yeah. So you're gonna see people experience like extreme betrayals, okay, that are misguiding others, okay, that are abusing their power, abusing their authority. These people, it's inevitable for them to experience an extreme betrayal because they are in a frequency of betraying others with their investments, creating confusion, sowing illusions, right? Confusing people about what's good and what's demonic, right? All that masquerading yourself as light or masquerading things, right? Customs, culture, whatever, as light. When it's not, when it's malevolent, when it's actually malevolent. So again, I want to close out by saying, if you've planted toxicity in your garden, and now it's grown, you got all these different plants and different foods of toxicity, or they're polluted, they're poisonous. You go and you prepare a meal for anybody with the fruits that you have grown, right? Which is toxic seeds. And you get these people sick down. For every person you get sick, or you pollute their minds, you pollute their hearts, you pollute their souls, you taint them. You taint their pure, you impurify them. For every person you do that to, you're just adding that. It's like you're adding that to the karma that. Pause right there, right? I'm gonna come back to that. So that's one thing. Also, not only are you feeding people from your garden of toxic plants, but it's your garden of toxic plants, and you're eating from it too already. So now you're eating the toxic seeds that you planted in your own garden. Every time you take or you sow illusion or toxicity in the world or to anybody unnecessarily, then you're also, this is a perfect example, how he got this pentacle at his feet, and then all these pentacles right here building up. For every person you put in the Three of Swords, every person you confuse, right? Or you play with their minds, you mush up their minds and shit, fuck them up, okay, turn them away from God. That adds on to your fall. That adds on to your dissension. That adds on to your bad karma, your judgment. It's almost like, again, like the heat waves, the extreme heat. Like that's you continue increasing the temperature. It's like the shit is already burning you. It's already affecting you negatively, but you're just still. It's like ignorance. When they say ignorance is bliss, imagine you're getting burned, and you're so ignorant to why. Like you're ignorant to the fact that, hey, if I keep turning this dial here in this direction, it's going to get hotter, and I'm going to burn more. Opposed to, let me, with knowledge and wisdom, let me turn it the other way and cool some shit down, or let me go hydrate. They say ignorance is bliss, right? It makes me think about SpongeBob, when the episode about them wanting to get into the tanning party, right? And how SpongeBob was sun bleached, okay? And how now he's made it into the party, he's sun bleached, and he basically went the furthest that they can possibly go without killing themselves. Um, Nobody's thinking about skin cancer. Nobody's thinking about the fact that at the end of this party, everybody is going to turn to dust, which is what happened. By the end of that party, everyone turned to dust. But what were they doing? Jamming, getting it. Okay, getting it, lit. They were lit at this tanning party. Lit. Like, oh, like, let's all get sun bleach in this motherfucker. And they all turned to dust while they were celebrating the toxicity, while they were celebrating during the judgment and karma because of their ignorance. Child. So this is what it's given. This is what it's given. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. But again, like when it comes to people constantly trying to confuse who you are about their intentions, you're supposed to help younger generations. Like you're supposed to help others and help free others with this discernment, like this wisdom that you gain from these type of dynamics on a larger scale. Okay, like I mean by larger scale, like let's think about a school's curriculum. That's what I mean by a larger scale. Like beyond, oh, okay, I'm on a platform, I'm talking to a few people. You get what I'm saying? Like, nah, like you're supposed to be like in places where things get rooted and grounded, like where seeds get planted. Okay, you're supposed to be there, wherever that there may be for you. Okay, whether that be with whether that be in like education, the educational system, whether that be in court and law, whether that be in security, linguistics. I don't know why I heard that. Logistics, different. It doesn't matter. The medical field, health and wellness, beauty, right? Like, think about, imagine natural women and men who embrace their natural beauty and authenticity, being in the field of beauty and wellness, okay? And mastering what, herbs and, creating serums and, techniques and practices and stuff where they can really heal a person's skin. They can heal that person's skin. They can heal that person's scalp. They can heal that person's hair. Imagine that, having more of that in beauty and wellness opposed to people who just kind of master how to cover the shit up. People who master how to build something else on top of it on some surface level shit. Mind you, I'm anytime I talk about this, I'm never knocking makeup. I don't have anything against makeup. I don't have anything against weave. I don't have anything against any type of add-ons or whatever you do. I don't have anything against that. Accessories. I don't have anything against that. Okay, it's an art form. It's an expression of art. Okay, so self-expression. I don't have nothing against that. However, what do we see more of in that industry? And if it's so much of that, what does that tell you? If it's so many more people that's in beauty and wellness and they're just all learning how to do makeup and beat your face and do a full face and oh do this and oh do your hair like this and this type of weave and da 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 and da 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 da. Why is there not enough people, right, that's doing that, but they're working with literally what you got? It's that energy of come as you are. Come down with us and we will do the good. Come as you are and we will maximize who you are. We will maximize what you are. It's almost like when people do those transformations, those beauty transformations, like they'll find like a random person off the street or homeless person and they do like these transformations, like they clean them up. I like the ones where they actually clean them up and that's all. They clean them up as they are. And they're very beautiful, they're very handsome, and they clean them up because they're dirty, right? They cut, if they got a wild beard, they clean that beard up, shape it up, whatever, cut it, whatever, clean it up, give them a haircut, you line up and all that, like, they clean up their face, okay? Put them in something nice to wear. I prefer to see those kind of transformations compared to those transformations where they put all this makeup on the person's face, okay? They put all this weed, add all this weed to the person's head, like, and they just build the bitch, right? Opposed to enhancing the person that they, enhancing the identity that they already have. Some of you guys, especially for masculines, like some of you guys, I don't know who this is for, but you know, there's this energy of like when it comes to self defense, taking it a step further, like on some tribal shit, like not just training people how to use guns, not just training people how to fight and shit, which definitely that should be core. How to use your hands, your body to defend yourself first before you pick up any weapon. But hey, the things that are generally around your house, here's many ways you can use it to defend yourself and your loved ones. Or let's tap into more tribalistic things like bow and arrow, crossbow, sticks, all type of shit like that. You feel me? Machete, and axe, right? How to master self-defense with these things as well. Tapping into our tribal roots, bringing that back alive, right? Opposed to being so heavily dependent on guns. Like, and I'm telling you, like, I'm seeing like a masculine host like some type of reform, like some type of inform, like reform camp or something, where they really teach boys how to fight, and not just how to fight, but also teaching them conflict resolution. Like, regardless of how triggered you may be, how disrespected you may feel that somebody has disrespected you at any time, do you want to live or do you want to die? You want to live or you want to die? So let me teach you how to defend yourself in mind, body, and soul, how to defend yourself and control your emotions. Let me teach you the importance of self-control and discipline. Let's talk about conflict resolution. Let's talk about when you need to know when it's the wisest thing to depart from the situation altogether, to remove yourself, to depart from evil. And if you have to fight, Lord, and this is why like it's really a big deal. It's really something that we need people in place to really influence, like groups. Like this needs to be taught to groups of boys or groups of girls at a time, right? Because what is going to always be that fear? Well, don't bring don't bring a knife to a gunfight. Okay, I know how to fight and I've mastered this, but what if the person who's trying to have drama with me or conflict with me, what if this person brings a gun? How am I supposed to, what do I do in that situation? Now, if you absolutely have to use a gun, to use it. If you can avoid the environment, if you can avoid the environment, because there's no reason, if you're not in an environment and somebody asks you, oh, pull up, then nigga pull up, you should not give a fuck about the people attached to them or anybody else trying to say, you that's a punk ass, nigga, that's a punk ass bitch, because they ain't pull up. Nah, you should have the wisdom and the self-control and discipline and be the bigger and more wise person, okay, in the situation, to not even involve yourself, to not even go to that. Why would you? So you okay? It's a confidence issue. It's a warping of confidence actually is that needs to be addressed, and they're going to need to see this from. And I feel like the reason why in a lot of cases, divine masculines and feminines, like they have beautiful continents, like they have this appeal, this attraction about them, like they acquire. It's like the things that people pay for. Like when we think about a woman, just in that build a body, build a bitch energy, like with her body. No offense. It's so much of that type of energy opposed to What's the best way I can say this? Don't make no damn sense. Return to sender. Anyway, I think my point was fucking made. Despite the people who got a problem with me communicating this and who are actively trying to silence the message has been spoken, regardless. The point is made. So there's that. But we need, for those of us who are naturally attractive, who are naturally beautiful, who are naturally handsome and stuff like that, like naturally fly and all that shit. It's like it's good for God to have those of us who are like that, without having to go under the knife and shit unnecessarily, because sometimes it's necessary for your health. But it's good for God to have those of us who are like that, who can still embody integrity, who still are very strong-willed and strong-minded with strong bodies, and we're effective, and we're masters of our trade, of our craft, or we've also dealt with jealous. If anything, we've dealt with jealousy and envy and people trying to harass us more than anybody else. When you do look good, when you are good looking, so it's like we kind of eliminate every excuse that people can possibly generate for not choosing to be the bigger person in any situation that they face. So it's good that the youth, for example, can have an example such as us, where okay, we're attractive and everything, but for example, women, we're attractive and shit, but we're not out here selling our ass just because we could, because of what we look like, because we're experiencing hardships and hard times and trials and tribulations. I don't mean you gotta sell your ass. It's good for young girls, to have that type of example in women. Okay, there's nothing wrong with being a gold digger, but you ain't gotta dig in people to get the gold. You can dig in God and get the gold. You can't dig in God. You can't dig in your own soul to get that gold, or you can't. And let's talk about gold digging in the upright. If you think about literal a shovel or whatever tools that they use to dig for gold, let's look at it like this. Let's say the gold that we're supposed to be digging up, okay? Let's say that's encouraging a masculine to embrace things about him that was heavily attacked. That is actually what God wants him to embrace about himself, right? We nourish people's the gift of insight, the gift of intuition, people's dreams. Like we build their confidence in their abilities and their skills, or we help them understand why certain energies and strategies were used against them to deceive them into seeing themselves inaccurately. Like this is the type of gold digging we're supposed to do. It's not supposed to just be. It's not supposed to be just digging for somebody's money in their pockets. Like it's not supposed to just be about that. It's like the energy of people not knowing that gold is in a place, and there's suspicion or speculation, and there's that person that finally taps in and they finally hit the gold. They finally tap into an oil mine. That's the energy that we're supposed to. This is how we're supposed to perceive one another. Okay, when it comes to uplifting each other, that's how it's supposed to be. It's like, damn, can you inspire that masculine? Like can you really reach down in his soul, unlock some shit that's going to bring him more wealth, that's going to bring him more abundance, that's going to put him further along the path of prosperity, that's going to help him see the leeches around him or in his life they need to cut off, that's draining. Oh my God. And vice versa, like with the feminists too. Like, yeah, I feel like it goes both ways. Like we talk about how women should show up, how men should show up for women, so women can like embrace their softness and shit like that. But it goes both ways, um, and it's a matter of you having to be strong enough to cut off a person you love when they convert over to evil, or when they refuse to choose divinity like their divine selves. You have to, the best way to navigate and get to the kind of person that will properly reciprocate, you have to cut those off who are not. It's that simple. It's that simple. It's not. It's okay. Cool. Complain about it. We can vent about it. For your healing, that's necessary too, right? But also let's identify how we got here. Let's identify the things that that was expressed within this person that was blocking us, okay, that made us vulnerable. Let's identify that we see the negative effect and impact of those behaviors. With that being said, these behaviors are not conducive for our overall well-being. In fact, sometimes when you remain attached to a toxic person, it really can affect your health. It can make you sick. Some people die from a broken heart. It's that serious. It's something that we should be taking that serious. Your health is in danger when someone is choosing to continue being toxic in your life. Just boot them out your life. It's that simple. Kick them out your life. And then before you know it, the disease, the ailment, the imbalance it follows. Right? And then what do you find yourself doing? Recovering, having to regenerate yourself, trying to heal, right? So if you remain attached to the person that's bringing you toxins and poison, it doesn't matter how many excuses you make for it. It doesn't matter how you try to justify the situation. It's like, if the person is poisonous, they're going to keep injecting poison. You're going to keep getting sick. It's so sad, bro. I just thought about this lady. I didn't realize how close I was to it. Like, and it just happened a couple years ago, I believe. But a neighbor was telling me that he was actually friends with the couple, the married couple. There's this story in Georgia where this couple had got a divorce, okay, and they went to court to finalize the divorce or something like that. And the husband shot the woman dead at the courthouse. No fucks given. Evil. Possessed. We have to understand how far when somebody is possessed or demonic, they're compromised. We do not need to be oblivious, okay, of how far that demon in them can possibly take it. We don't need any more evidence. I've been saying this. We don't need any more evidence, right? And I really, what are you doing? What? I don't know what that was. But I'm really seeing a future. It's crazy. Like, I just thought about Martin Luther King. Like, I have a dream. Like, I really see a future of us having more of these very expansive, in-depth, thorough, transparent conversations with our children, right? And it's becoming a normality, right? Because we got to bring this bullying under wraps. We have to bring this bullying under wraps. And it's like, it should be beyond the household. A lot of times, yeah, we talk about that, their parents, their household should really set a standard, when it comes to teaching them how to protect themselves and even understand the true psychological dynamics behind bullying. But no, this should be something that's like a part of like the school's curriculum. And self-defense should go beyond defending yourself physically. No, we should also have self-defense classes when it comes to how to defend yourself emotionally, how to defend yourself psychologically, how to defend yourself spiritually, not just physically. We should have courses in a curriculum of all of that, especially for children. Why? Because children will not be spared, as we can see. Children are not spared. They're not. And I feel like there's also like this energy of needing to properly watch our be properly be watchful of our children, of our teens, or whatever. No, this is not, I'm not saying you just infiltrate their life and you try to live their life for them, but no, you create a foundation early on. You create this reassurance within them that you are a safe space. And but the thing is, how can they know that you're a safe space for shit that they're dealing with their peers and stuff if we're not having these transparent conversations of the type of shit that happens amongst peers that also progress into adulthood amongst peers? The same shit, the same type of manipulation, influence that even adults are impacted by negatively, right? It's like if nobody addresses it, it just keeps growing with the people. And hence, then we have these man child or these adult children throwing adult tantrums because nobody's addressing the root causes. Nobody's addressing the root of the problem. So yes, like it's very critical that those of us who are called, we take these things serious. We get ahead of the issue. We get ahead of the hurtful outcomes, especially the outcomes that may be unalivings, right? It's very important that we get ahead of that, okay? That we be attentive of that. Ugh. Mm. Like, there's something I want to say, but I don't want it to seem too harsh. But I feel like it should be said. It even happened with a girl back in my neighborhood, from where I'm from in South Carolina. It happened with her kid. Like, if you're going to purchase a property, right, with a pool, or you're going to get a pool, okay, and you have small children, you shouldn't just be having that property, for what it looks like or how it looks to others or to the world. If you get that property, you need to be able to afford safety measures on that property. If you have small children, if you have a pool, with that pool, you should also build something around that pool to protect that small child, because children do wander off, right? It's not enough to get the property and it's a nice property and you get to show people it's a nice property with a pool if you're not going to be fully watchful and responsible of that property, considering your circumstances, which your circumstances is you have small children. And the reality is children wander, right? Hey. But yeah. And I know, considering that guy's situation is fresh and stuff like that, but that does not take away from the fact that it was irresponsible. And people, it's crazy. Like, we should be able to be accountable. Is it really an accident? It's a pool, and it's a small child, and for whatever reason, the child's access to the pool was too damn easy. Or there's a little boy, recently in Georgia that was just found in a pond. So this watchfulness of our children, yes, we should be watchful of them physically, but we should be watchful of them psychologically. The things that that they're being exposed to, okay, that can influence their mind, the things that they're exposed to that can influence their emotions against them, against us, right? Against others in an unnecessary toxic way. You know, like when we think about, like, where did the bullies come from? Who raised the bullies? Who raised the murderers? How, how did they get here? Right? Hmm. But I digress. I'm hungry. So that's my message, you guys. Um, I'm not really about to pull any cards right now. It's already late, so thank you guys for watching. I'll see you